I suppose SVP was become a really important part of our journey across kind of the Pathfinder Schools Academy Trust. So to kind of put it back into, I suppose, some context for you, back in kind of 2013, we grew our Academy Trust through choice naturally with schools that formed out of our kind of previous community of schools that kind of worked closely together, and we decided that our next logical step would be to kind of develop an academy trust together. So we're lucky that we have kind of a big feeder secondary school, and from that we have a mix of kind of primary, infant, junior schools that kind of make up our trust, and over time that has kind of expanded. So we've been working together for about 5 years. And obviously we've got that joint and kind of shared accountability that comes with being in a trust with each other. We necessarily hadn't got to that point where we'd found a school improvement model for us that was having impact across our schools. So it was a really kind of I suppose a gap in our offer really to supporting schools within the trust. And interesting, Anne, who's also on the call with me this morning, and we both kind of sent each other the kind of same email when the kind of offer came through, and felt that it was our next logical step. And I think for us, one of the biggest things that we got out of it was, and we've seen when I kind of put my earlier comments about it being transformative, it was really kind of, I suppose, a really good vehicle for us to just kind of break down perhaps those final barriers about kind of working with each other. And we do feel that we've got trust in the sense of the relationship aspect from schools partnership program and being part of the trial, mainly because we've gone in with a different mindset. This isn't about the trust coming in to do accountability processes. There is a place for that, and we have a certain element of that, but SVP doesn't cross over with that. And because we had such benefits from this, and I think the main thing around it was the fact that, you know, it was peer supported, and actually it was colleagues working with each other. And I had a conversation in the past with Jane Creasy about this, and one of my phrases I used at the time and quoted now in one of the books, but it's kind of that airing that dirty laundry, and it's something I kind of stand by. It, you know, whenever I kind of explain to peer review to anybody, it's about showing those bits in your school that actually, you know, I suppose it's the opposite for Ofsted. You want to put your best foot forward and put your best show on, but we always know there's areas of our schools or across our trust of areas that are not as good as we could be, and actually sometimes we need that objective eye to support us in able to do that. And I think that was the biggest thing that came out of it from us, is that we broke down those barriers, that people were prepared to kind of show their dirty laundry to each other. Our model was kind of interesting because we made sure that initially it was I suppose our heads and deputies that were our peer reviewers. We went through a process of interviewing for our improvement champions. We wanted those people who we knew were our best kind of classroom practitioners, but also people who were kind of committed to the role and process. So we as a trust invest in their time. So it's not a paid role, it's a CPD opportunity for us. But from our central funding around school improvement, we invest time that we feed back into the schools to release those kind of classroom practitioners. We realise that they're busy people, and this is then an additional thing to their class role. And so we want to make sure that, you know, they get the opportunity to be released to fulfil the role properly. So that was kind of an important decision we made as a result of that. We also went through a kind of a shadowing process where our head teachers who initially led our first year of reviews, they were on the review before, and they got to kind of shadow that process. So we kind of got that, I suppose, that quality control really of coming through. And my role as partnership leader did a lot of kind of checking of questions and checking things and being there to kind of advise people. And I think that was one big thing that came out of it, that need to get the questions to be really kind of specific. Reviews that weren't as strong as others were about that broadness. So when people had selected something that was too broad, it was about us really narrowing that down to kind of get a strong focus. And essentially then the outcomes that you get out of it to take to the improvement workshop are much better and much tighter, and makes the improvement champion's job much easier. One thing that we came to after the first cycle of reviews, and it's a bit that's less often mentioned now, was around kind of the 15 minutes of fame model. and we did some kind of training as part of that in our first year with the program. And actually, we found that really powerful. One thing that came out of it for us is that, you know, a lot of our peer reviewers who were kind of deputies in schools, once you kind of had your part of the review, there was this void that it's then owned by the school. They take on that action plan, and then they're keen to know, well, what impact did it have? What difference did I make? What changes have happened? And that 15 minutes of fame model became very powerful for us. I suppose my phrase around this is that cross-pollination, that opportunity then for each school to then just present a 5-minute update, get all the peer reviewers back in a room together, and they get a 15-minute window to then just kind of talk about the impact, but also then that opportunity then to spread that practice across our academy trust. And actually, have we got practice then that is having an impact in one school, and potentially, yes, the context might be different, but have we got learning that can be developed through each other as a result of that process? So we're yet to do that for this year 2-3 cycle, because that finishes in December. So that one's been quite a drawn out kind of long process. But I would say probably, I could talk all day, but they're probably my main points to just take forward for you. I suppose Anne and I together have just been having conversations about really how we take the peer review model forward, and in the context of where we sit in kind of education at the moment. And I think the interesting bit for us is, you know, we're not a big fan of kind of mocksteads or those types of things, but how can we use the power again of our peers to support each other? We know we've got a culture where the spotlight is on middle leaders around curriculum now, and them feeling confident to kind of discuss or know what's happening in the curriculum areas that they're responsible for. And we're having thoughts or conversations about how could we get this to work in a trust level to, I suppose, potentially spotlight or focus on a particular curriculum subject area, and how does that practice look across our trust of schools, and how could we use a peer review then to gather that evidence, maybe you know, across a cycle, to tell us, you know, what is the quality of geography like in our group of schools, and how do then we use peer review as a tool to take that forward and improve our kind of practice across the trust is I suppose our initial thoughts at the moment as a way forward.